The city is a place of hustle and bustle, and in a time when we recontextualize what art is, the city itself becomes a piece of art. Buildings, murals, fountains. But if there's one thing that's never appreciated, it's the bench. The bench never goes anywhere, it's never appreciated, and hardly ever understood. It is a bench. To most, it is a thing of utility, and not at all a thing of beauty. But to me, it's the opposite. So, what exactly is considered a bench? Or I guess, what isn't a bench? Can a bench be indoors? Is a couch considered a bench? What about the materials of a bench? Where am I on the metal bench debate? Since this is a common question, I'll clear it up. If it looks like a few chairs got smashed together, it's a bench. Otherwise, you're out of luck. Sorry. The bench is one of the great human inventions, alongside the fork and the 3-day weekend. And just like them, the bench has a rich history.
In ancient Rome, the bench was a sign that you weren't important enough to sit in a chair.
But hey, it beats sitting on the floor.
But thanks to that, benches are everywhere.
Benches have kind of always been interesting to me. I think this is the one that did it. It's located on South Alamo. This bench is designed to reflect the neighborhood where it resides, with the lines indicating the streets. How cool is that? This bench is made in the famous faux bois style, replicating trees out of concrete. But out of all the benches I've ever seen, there's one that is the greatest bench I've ever laid my eyes on. And it kind of exemplifies everything special about benches, but I'll get back to this later. Despite all my love for them, not all benches are created equally. Sitting on a metal bench in the summer will teach you to never trust a bench again. For every good wooden bench, there are about 10 bad ones that'll give you splinters if you so much as run your fingers over them. And of course, the worst offenders of them all. Barricades, such as these, are a modern part of city benches and aim to keep the homeless population from laying on them. And honestly, this sucks. All it does is put homeless people in a worse situation, which is a bad thing. Benches are for the people, and if people want to sleep on them, let them sleep. That being said, even these benches have merit, because all benches are important in their own way, because all benches tell a story. Who decided to put a bench here, and why? What was the design intention behind it? Because even though they are never noticed, benches were created with some intention. How about benches with plaques dedicated to people? You ever sit there and just think about them? What kind of person is that? Some benches are really art, and you can tell just by looking. Someone put their soul into it to make sure that you had comfort when you sat down. Other benches are a bit harder to see their artistic merit, but sometimes it comes from the people on the benches rather than the benches themselves. The bench is a place to be alone, and also to be together. Maybe it's a place to talk with an old friend that you haven't seen in a while. Or maybe you're just trying your best to ignore the person next to you. Who knows? Maybe you could meet someone new. The bench in the right place could start a relationship. Do you remember that bench I mentioned before? That really special bench? Well, I think it's about time to talk about it. This is a bench that is stored at the Whitty Museum. And on its surface, it looks a lot like the other benches you might encounter roaming the streets of the world. And in fact, it comes from our own San Antonio Riverwalk. But what makes this one special is the engraving that is at its core. The note comes from one Johnny Cash to his soon-to-be wife Vivian. The note simply reads, "Johnny loves Vivian." To me, this is like the quintessential bench. On its surface, it is plain and normal, but when you take a little look into it, you see a bench that shows love, a bench that shows history, and also a bench that makes you think about what the potential of benches is. So benches are important to me because they aren't just things that you sit on. They're a link between our relationships with others. To sit on a bench with someone and have a conversation might not seem like something that you should cherish, but it is. Even if you're by yourself, there's so much to experience on the bench. You can listen to the hum of the city or just the whistle of the wind. Can look all around and take in the scenery because you're on a bench. The bench is an often unrecognized hero that can really make you realize how beautiful some things are. So go outside, find a bench you like, just sit there for a while and appreciate everything about it because benches are pretty incredible.